Welcome to my channel, The Historic State. And today's story is not just about strength, but about dignity, courage, and how one quiet soldier forced the highest ranks of command to listen. It begins on a remote training ground where the sun burned against the desert horizon and dust never seemed to settle. 9 rows of young recruits drilled endlessly, sweat soaking their uniforms, boots pounding into dirt. Among them was Lieutenant Sarah Kaine. She wasn't the loudest, she wasn't the fastest, but there was something about her that stood out. A calm determination that others couldn't quite understand. Sarah had grown up in a small town where people lived simple lives. Her father, a doctor, wanted her to stay safe to carry on his practice. Her mother, a teacher, hoped Sarah would choose a classroom over a battlefield. But Sarah had dreams of her own. She wanted to serve, to carry a rifle, to stand shoulder to shoulder with others who believed in something bigger than themselves. Her decision wasn't easy. She faced criticism, doubt, and the heavy silence of those who thought she wouldn't last. But she pressed forward. Inside the barracks, though reality was harsher than the dream, Sarah faced constant whispers. Some of the men mocked her during training, laughing when she stumbled, calling her dead weight. Others accused her of being there only because of favoritism, though they didn't know the truth. The pressure built day after day, but Sarah never responded. She endured quietly, patiently, waiting for her chance to prove herself. Though one night, during a late training exercise, things went too far. The drill was supposed to simulate a capture scenario, recruits practicing how to resist interrogation. It was meant to push limits, but not cross them. Yet for Sarah, it turned into a nightmare. A group of men cornered her. They taunted, shoved, and when she refused to break, one of them snapped. His boot struck her head with brutal force. Sarah collapsed, the world spinning around her. Blood trickled from her forehead, the taste of iron sharp in her mouth. Her ears rang, her vision blurred. For a moment, she thought she might never rise again. But deep inside, something stronger than pain pushed her up. She steadied herself on shaking legs, wiped the blood from her face, and walked away without a word. The barracks fell silent, but no one followed her. Sarah walked straight to the command tent. Those who saw her pass were stunned by the sight of her swollen face, her uniform stained. She disappeared inside, and moments later, the base erupted into chaos. Headlights cut through the night as a convoy of 3 black SUVs roared into the compound. Doors slammed and outstepped 3 generals. Their presence was enough to stop every soldier in his tracks. Generals didn't just appear in the middle of the night. Not without reason. Whispers spread like wildfire. What's happening? Why are they here? Who called them? The answer soon became clear. Sarah wasn't just another recruit in FOR years. She had kept quiet about her connection to the highest ranks. One of those generals had promised her late parents, his closest friends, that he would watch over her if she ever chose the uniform. And when Sarah entered his tent, bleeding but unbroken, she didn't ask for revenge. She asked for accountability. Generals stormed into the barracks. Soldiers snapped to attention, fear written across their faces. The men responsible for the attack stood pale, their eyes darting, knowing their time was up. One general's voice cut through the silence. Who laid hands on her? Silence. Not one dared speak. But Sarah, standing behind them, refused to single out names. Her words carried more weight than any accusation. It wasn't just one man, it's the culture you've allowed here. Fix it, or more of us will fall. The generals looked at one another. Her statement was a knife to the heart of their leadership. She wasn't asking for punishment, she was demanding change. That very night, the entire unit was shut down. Investigations launched, careers ended. The men who had targeted her would never again wear the uniform. The toxic environment they had built was dismantled piece by piece. Sarah's story didn't end there. She was transferred to another base where whispers followed her. Some called her the one who shut down a unit. Others saw her as a quiet symbol of courage. She trained harder than ever, carrying herself with even more strength, not to prove herself to others, but to honor the sacrifice of those who had come before her. Months later, at a formal ceremony attended by high-ranking officers, Sarah's resilience was recognized. She walked across a stage, still humble, still quiet, as one of the generals pinned a medal to her chest. The applause was thunderous, but Sarah didn't smile for herself. Later, she placed that medal at a memorial wall filled with names of fallen soldiers. When asked why she gave away such an honor, her answer was simple. It was never about me. It was about all of us who serve, believing in something greater, respect, honor, dignity. That's what I fight for. And over time, Sarah rose in rank. She began leading troops of her own. She made sure her units were different, built on trust, not intimidation. She pushed her soldiers to their limits, but she also protected their dignity. Those under her command respected her, not out of fear, but because she embodied the values they all swore to uphold. Her story spread across bases, whispered from one barracks to another, not because she was famous, but because she had faced humiliation, violence, and injustice, and she stood anyway. She had forced generals to act, and in doing so became a symbol of quiet strength. Years later, recruits would look at her and see not just a leader, but a reminder. Strength is not in the punch you throw, but in the stand you take when everything tries to knock you down. Sarah Kaine never asked for glory. She never sought the spotlight, but history remembered her as the soldier who changed the system, not by fighting with fists, but by refusing to bow her head when the world tried to break her. This story reminds us all, courage doesn't always shout. Sometimes it walks into a command tent, bloodied but unbroken, and demands justice with a steady voice. In an NIF, this story touched you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Here on The Historic State, we bring you the untold stories of courage, sacrifice, and honor that deserve to be remembered.